The Nerdcast Empire is on the air. We are back with a special Monday edition of the Hard Rock Empire as we are taking a look at the music of November the 28th tonight. I am Matt in the studio. Great to have you along with us. A little different schedule with Christmas coming up this week. Our kind of shuffling some things around, but we have music for you as always, just a day late. And then, of course, we were originally supposed to have our 200th episode tomorrow. That'll be pushed back to this weekend. We'll let you know when that is coming, but we'll be celebrating that. And, of course, we'll have more music coming up for you at our regularly scheduled time next Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Joining me in studio on this Monday evening is Mike. Mike, how's it going?
It's going. Yeah, we are getting very close to Christmas. It's been a little hectic the past few days, but thankfully not a whole lot of music, both tonight and kind of moving forward, it looks like. So should be able to get caught up. And yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah, that's about all there is the music situation is thin, as we found out last year when we were doing this on a weekly basis, that when you get to the end of the year and the beginning of the next year, it starts to thin out a bit. So don't be surprised if we don't combine some weeks in the coming weeks as we try to wrap up 2025 and get ready to head into 2026. But we do have a good slate of music for this week. But before we get to that, let's get to our news headlines. And this was one that actually came across my social media feed while I was working today. So I thought, well, why not go ahead and talk a little bit about this. And it is a story from Metal Injection today that Yngwie Malmsteen, the legendary guitarist, sometimes eccentric character, appears to not be very happy with some of his former lead singers. And, of course, he has had many. They are listed in the Metal Injection article if you'd like to go through the list. They have a total of 10 of them. I don't even know if that's a comprehensive list, but that is at least most of the people he has worked with. And he has worked with some fantastic metal singers who have gone on to do things big after him. Some of them did big things before him and then after. Some of them maybe are best known for being his vocalist, and I think that's kind of where the ire is directed in these posts that were on social media late last week, where it seems like some of the former lead singers are trying to get together and organize some sort of tour of Malmsteen singers, and I guess in maybe branding it that way, it caught his attention. He wasn't very happy about that, and he kind of let people know about it on social media. The reason I chose the story, I usually kind of steer away from the people griping and yelling at clouds type stories, but it goes back to the whole, you know, when you're talking about somebody like Malmsteen, obviously a legend, a virtuoso, but, you know, obviously the songs he's known for, probably the first thing you think of with those songs is the vocalist that was singing the lyrics that were in the song. So, you know, how does that all fall out when you're dealing with, especially with someone like Malmsteen who has worked with so many vocalists? Like, how do you kind of balance that feeling out between, yeah, he's great, but, you know, the vocalist deserves a little more credit, I think, than what he's giving in these social media posts.
Yeah, and I don't know how many lead singers you have to have until you kind of come to the determination, hey, these are all just hired hands. I'm paying them for the job. They're session musicians, essentially, which is what he says in the article, more or less, that, you know, he paid them on the spot for what they did, and that's it. No different than bringing in a drummer. But yeah, it is unfortunate when you think of the songs that you really like of Yngwie Malmsteen. It usually has something to do with who's doing the singing. Even if that's Malmsteen doing the writing, you still got to have the right guy delivering the lines. And I think that's, you wonder why in a lot of bands you have the lead singer be the guy that has the issues and has the ego. Well, because he's kind of the front-facing face of what you're doing. It's either you as the singer or the guitarist, and like in his case, it's kind of hard to want to share that spotlight, and I can understand that. But yeah, kind of looking into what's going on, I kind of see it in two different ways. Because you have like Mats Levin, who has one of the he's doing a couple shows in Japan. He was only on one album with Yngwie Malmsteen, and evidently these two shows are kind of centered around that one album. Mm-hmm. So that's something.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have let's see, who are the other ones? Mark Bowles and where'd his name go? Michael Viscera. They're touring together. Combined, they were on 6 albums.
Mhm.
So if you want to say we are somewhat the collective voice of Yngwie Malmsteen, maybe there's a bit more of a case to that. What's awkward, though, is when you look at the list of singers, Bowles, I think that's fair to suggest he's a big deal, but man, like there are so many just legendary singers that aren't being represented by either of these concerts that could just as well have a claim to the voice of Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, the two that immediately come to mind when I think of Malmsteen are Jeff Scott Soto and Joe Lynn Turner. They are really, not only for what they did with Malmsteen, but those guys have continued on. And there's others on this, like Goran Edmond comes up on our podcast every so often. Tim Ripper Owens is, you can't
He's the voice of everybody.
He's everybody's voice. Like you love the fact he shows up pretty much anywhere and everywhere. So it's just such a murky area because it's kind of the opposite of what we talk about with Megadeth. Like Megadeth is Dave. Now, yes, he is a guitarist, but like it is his voice. No matter who's playing guitar, no matter who's playing drums, he is the band. This is a case where the guitar player is your front man. He's the star, but it's the vocalist who you're probably going to think of first before you think of who's playing guitar, other than the fact the band is obviously named after Malmsteen. So like I said, the one case I totally understand does kind of feel like maybe some coattails. The reality of it is it really worth getting upset about? Because I can't imagine this guy's probably drawing huge crowds to these shows in Japan where like it's going to make or break Malmsteen. He's not going to lose out on money because this dude's touring on the one album that he was on probably.
No, and let's be fair, that one album wasn't Rising Force or Marching Out or Trilogy or Odyssey. If he's getting up there singing Heaven Tonight or I'll See the Light Tonight or You Don't Remember, I'll Never Forget, that's great, but he didn't sing any of those songs.
Right.
So, it's more strange, and maybe it's on me to kind of do some more research what this guy's done since then, because it's not a name that I see pop up all that often, and I'm sure he's done more than just that one Malmsteen album.
I would think so, but maybe that's the most famous thing he did. I don't know, but interesting story. Again, just kind of one of those fascinating, who makes the band type of stories. So, just wanted to throw it out there. We do have a commercial break coming up on Twitch. Of course, they run one pretty early in the stream. If you're subscribed, you won't get ads. If you're on YouTube, you won't get ads. If you're not subscribed on Twitch, which is completely fine, we're going to have 90 seconds of ads. You're not going to miss anything. We're just going to chat a little bit, but we'll come back and get ready to start setting up our new music for the week on the other side of this break. But just hang around if you don't mind for the 90 seconds, and then we will continue on with our content on the other side of the break once that ad fires, and it has fired. So, yeah, did you look up this guy?
No, I didn't. But the other thing I was also thinking is, like, Malmsteen also has a bunch of just instrumental albums that he's done. I just wonder, like, how well those have done commercially compared to kind of the iconic songs from albums that we talk about all the time. I can't imagine they sell as well just because that's not what people generally are into.
Yeah, again, and I don't want to use this as any way to diminish Malmsteen's greatness because the dude
is incredible,
legitimate virtuoso. He's if you have a Mount Rushmore of metal guitarists, he's either on it or he's next to it because the guy is a legend. But you're 100% right. When you're talking commercial success, when you're talking things that people are going to buy tickets to go and see, in most cases, it's going to be the songs that have words to it. That's kind of the nature of the business.
He actually sang for Loudness for a while.
Really?
I had no idea.
Explains why he's touring in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's probably going to do better with that stuff than he would the Malmsteen stuff. He was a singer for the band Obsession in the mid-'80s. Did some work with Loudness, then Yngwie. Sang for Roland Grappo, the former Halloween guy. Let's see. He stayed busy since then. He also sang on the 2 Animetal USA albums.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I might want to check those out. But okay, so, I mean, he is somebody. Just not somebody I was
also
immediately...
something called... He was a producer in Keys on Disney Super Guitar.
Anybody know what Disney Super Guitar is? I don't, but that's...
And that's the thing, too. He's also a producer, so it's possible he produced some of these albums. Let's see if I expand this, if it actually shows me more of the table. No, that's it. So
Interesting.
he might have been a producer for Loudness, actually. Let's
Okay,
see.
that might make a little more sense, but
Um,
that's interesting. But yeah, just not a name that necessarily is going to be at the top of our heads as far as guys involved in metal, but clearly somebody somewhat important for everything he's been involved in.
Although no, it says On the Prowl, their album has him on vocals. So
Okay, very cool. Like
who knew?
Yeah, so yeah, interesting story. Like I said, I don't know really what to make of it other than just it's kind of an interesting discussion title, and you can read more about what Malmsteen had to say and the full list of vocalists, including Nick Marino, who's his current vocalist since 2013. You can read that list on the Metal Injection article. Don't forget to check out our website, nerdcastempire.com. Of course, you can find us live at least once a week on Twitch and on YouTube. If you're here now, live, you know that. Otherwise, we're happy to have you when you can stop by. Of course, we do have VODs on YouTube that get uploaded. We also have Twitch VODs, which stay up for about a month, I believe, since we've become monetized there. I think they stay up for about a month, so you can check out previous episodes of the Hard Rock Empire. Again, coming up this weekend, sometime we will have our 200th episode of the Nerdcast Empire. TBD, we'll figure that out kind of around the holiday schedule. And then coming on Sunday, I do know that 7 o'clock Eastern Time, our regularly scheduled window for the Hard Rock Empire, episode number 97 of that. And I believe it's December the 5th. We are talking about music. A little bit thin as far as the number of albums next week, but we'll get it all sorted out, and we will come your way with new music again next Sunday night. In the meantime, it's time to get to our new music of this week. Of course, each and every week, Mike will go through, and he will pull the new releases for a given week. The given week in this case is November the 28th. And he will go through and put them on a YouTube playlist, which I am currently in the process of pasting into both of the chats and Twitch and on YouTube. And you can go through there and you can listen to the tracks that Mike pulls. He has started thinning these playlists out to kind of the best of the best stuff, which definitely makes it a little easier to get to, and I think it's going to continue at this clip for a while, just because that's kind of what happens this time of year. But definitely having some network issues of some kind. We're trying to work through those at the moment. Looks like we are offline at the moment. It looks like it's coming back online. Just some technical difficulties. We're trying to work our way through that. But as we do that, we are getting to the new music. And before we get to the stuff that we picked for the playlist, off the playlist for our selections, we usually have collections. Bigger bands have released stuff. Do we have anything along those lines this week?
The only thing major release-wise that really stuck out to me was Dream Theater's Quarantine. It's some French word that looks like it means quarantine, I assume. Live in Paris, it is Dream Theater's multi-disc concert tour stop from Paris. You can get a physical copy, 3 CDs, 3 Blu-ray. Obviously, it's Dream Theater, so there's going to be a lot of music there. Something notable that I thought from this release is that they actually performed the entire Octavarium song, all 24 minutes, toward the end of their set. They finished with Pull Me Under, which isn't too surprising. But, I mean, they sound great. They always do. And, if you like Dream Theater, obviously worth checking out.
Yeah, they're really amazing. The track on the playlist obviously was great, as you would anticipate. And, Dream Theater is one of those bands that I always appreciate their stuff. Like so many progressive bands, I think there's a time when I'm most in the mood to listen to Dream Theater stuff. But it's really great. You should definitely check it out. And it's available as Mike said on the playlist this week. So definitely when you get a chance, check that out. In the meantime, we do have 2 new albums that we will spotlight on the podcast this week. And we'll start off with Mike, as always. Mike, what do you have for pick number 1 this week?
Before that, I did want to go into one other thing. And since we don't have much in the way of major new releases, I wanted to highlight the best named album of the week.
Okay.
And this comes from Australia, the hardcore band called Yeah Sick. Their newest album, it's an EP. It is called Your Herbs and Spices Won't Save You Now.
How was the album? Did you listen to?
I didn't get around to much of the album beyond what I initially checked out. I feel like it wasn't a super easy one to locate, but Hardcore isn't necessarily my style, but
Yeah.
definitely points for the name, both the band and the album title. Just great stuff.
Yeah, love creative names. That's definitely that creative videos, creative album art. Those are definitely ways to
Yeah.
get on our radar, even if maybe the music isn't exactly what we're looking for.
Exactly. So moving into the actual picks this week, my first pick is an anonymous metal band. I know very little about these guys beyond they wear masks and they have their debut album out. They are Phantom Vengeance, and that album is called Ghost of a Warrior.
And I can add a third one for you. They are not on Facebook. They are the only band probably in many weeks that was there. It was a new pick that was not on it, did not have a Facebook page. Their label was on Facebook,
Yeah.
but I guess not too surprising considering their anonymity.
Yeah, pretty much everything I found out about them was through either a review online or their record label's website. The album was produced by the band itself. It was recorded at their Phantom studio. They do have an artist page on the Rock Company website, their label. Interestingly enough, that label does include acts like Bogusal Balsarac's Cry Lord, Derek Cole, Forest Field, Tragic, and Winterland, all bands that we've talked about in the past. So that's encouraging. The product listing for the album suggests that their music's for fans of Iron Maiden, Savatage, and Symphony X. So that's another mark in the positive column. That's not a bad thing either. The album itself has a huge theatrical sound going for it, and the singer has an amazing voice. The anonymity thing is kind of interesting to me. From a content creator standpoint, I can totally understand it. But in the world of music, I don't know if it's a cool gimmick, but does it kind of work against you? Because when I think of bands I like, and I assume a lot of fans are like this, you want to know everything about them. Like you want to know where they're from, like inspirations, influences, all of that. And I think from an international standpoint, there's a certain amount of pride when you find out that a band is from your country or from somewhere near you locally. I just think you kind of miss out on that. So I'm kind of curious where these guys go from here, but I really enjoyed the album. Standout tracks on it include Black Knight, Ghost of a Warrior, The Graveyard, the whole 3-part finale, Shadow Thirst, and the track that I picked to listen to, Hand of Tear.
Check these guys out. This is Phantom Vengeance with their new album, Ghost of a Warrior. This is the 7th track off of that album, Hand of Tear. Let's listen to a little bit of that now.
Now we guide a battle cry till the last man falls or the foe will die. Hunter, God of the sword, lead us where the red rivers pour. Berserk hearts unbound, unbroken. In your name the shield walls open. Hunter, hand of fate, break the gates, let the fire take. We are the storm, the raven sink, warrior strong, the deathless weak.
First thing has nothing to do with this band. Like YouTube Music, could you please upload everything at the same volume level? Like
Be consistent, please.
one band I have it like in the middle and it'll blow my speakers out, and the next one, like that one, was really quiet and I had to turn it way up, which is weird because I don't remember having to do that when I listened to it. I did get to listen to this album. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really good. Obviously, it is a bit bombastic, which one of my picks is as well this week. But I think they do it really well, which definitely helps. The anonymity thing is a little odd. It does make you wonder if some of the members of the bands that you had just ran down the list of could be in this project, and for whatever reason. The other thing that typically happens is if you have artists that maybe are on another label and they don't want to be found out, they do these anonymous projects. But it is a shame in a way. Would have loved to have tagged them on Facebook in our post to let them know that we were shouting them out, because I think this is a really good album, and I hope they do more stuff, but I really do hope maybe we find out a little bit more about this band if they decide to go ahead and release another album sometime in the future.
I mean, the other possibility, and this is probably very unlikely, is that there's someone in the band who metal fans can be fairly gatekeepy and not the most welcoming. Maybe there's someone in the band who's a musician that people wouldn't look at credibly as far as the metal community goes.
Possible, yeah.
So hey, let's just keep it anonymous. I don't know, but it's intriguing, and you kind of wonder what's next from these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I thought this was really good. Definitely encourage you to check it out. Phantom Vengeance with their new album out on November the 28th. As always, Mike, you have 2 picks each and every week, so let's get around to pick number 2.
Yeah, pick number 2 was really interesting. Every time I go back and re-listen to this, I enjoy it more and more. Thankfully, these guys aren't anonymous. It is a Finnish-American rock band. They've been around since 2013. This is their 3rd full-length album. They are Aktor, and the album is Professori Season 2.
Yeah, there were a few things on the playlist this week were really just different and interesting, and I felt like this kind of right at the top of the playlist was definitely one of those things.
Yeah, it set the tone for the week, I think, as far as the good stuff. It's just, I love when I can get outside of the box and find something really interesting that isn't kind of my standard traditional metal, thrash, power metal, and these guys are definitely it. Their tags on Bandcamp include AOR, rock, heavy metal, and psychedelic rock. I see them more as like old school prog plus new wave, maybe. I think those are a little more, maybe not more fitting, but something you could definitely include amongst the tags. The band's actually a supergroup. It consists of the Finnish musicians Tommi Leppänen and Jussi Lehdesalo, that is drummer and guitarist, respectively. Both are from the long-running band Circle. On vocals, you have Chris Black, who has been a longtime member of the band Dawnbringer from New Jersey, so bringing in the American side. Per the review on Defenders of the Faith Metal, this concept album centers around the disappearance of the main character, Professori, and his assistant's journey to find him and see justice served to those who are responsible. It's kind of wild that it's a concept album and it has the Season 2 moniker. They haven't had a Season 1. Like, if you go back to their prior albums, they have this, like, alliteration thing going on where their albums all start with P, but no Season 1. So I don't know what we got going on there, but, why not?
Mm-hmm.
The review refers to the sound of Aktor being, like, anything goes hybrid of classic hard rock, 80s new wave worship, and all-around freeform weirdness. They reference influences ranging from the Cars, the Angel Rat era of Voivod, and Fire of Unknown Origin era of Blue Oyster Cult. I'm always for something that's kind of off the beaten path, and it's really cool to hear bands that actually sound like this in 2025. Standout tracks on the album include He Never Came Home, Nemesis, Idiot Brother, Too Close, still not close enough, Back on the Case, and the track that I picked to listen to, Politics.
Check these guys out. It says Aktor with Professori Season 2. This is the 4th track off of that album, Politics. Let's listen to a little bit of that now.
It slips quickly out of hand. This could get out of hand. Those clowns at City Hall, they're calling for my head. The mayor's mad as hell at where this investigation led. Last thing I need right now is you to entertain. So be careful where you scratch and make sure you can handle what you catch.
Yeah, it's hard to really describe what that sounds like. Like, there is...
You hear the Cars pretty plainly.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like punk music without the punk. Like, it has the same, like, verse structures. They're kind of short and they're catchy. Like a punk song, but it's not punk because it doesn't have any of the other elements. It's just the vocal line structure that kind of lines up with punk style.
The vocal delivery could almost be like Talking Heads.
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
could
just
definitely hear that.
a little different, but it works for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's good. It's just, it is totally different than really anything else on the playlist this week. And I think that's good. I think so much we listen to all this music every week and all year long that it can all run together. And this is completely different. And I think a lot of people are going to be drawn to that, especially if you are following along every week and listening to these playlists. I think these guys are a kind of a breath of fresh air amongst all the other stuff we listen to.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something to check out the whole album, given it's a concept album. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all.
Yeah, check those guys out. Aktor with their new album out. And I will say the album cover looks like something like an ad for a show on Netflix or something. Like, it just looks like it literally is the second season of some Netflix show that's coming back. So, but yeah, check these guys out. Definitely different, definitely enjoyable. But not like anything else we're going to talk about on the podcast this week for sure. Before we get to my 2 picks, we got to run another ad on Twitch. Again, if you're subscribed, you can blow right through that ad. If you are not subscribed, no worries. We're just going to chat for a little bit, and we'll come back with my picks for the week. So don't go anywhere. If you're on YouTube, you'll listen to us chat because we'll be with you for the next 90 seconds while Twitch pays some bills. Before we get to my picks of the week, we're going to run that ad, and then we're going to chat a little bit. You know, it's always interesting when you find these bands that do sound so different. Like, it's, I guess, you know, I would love to know, like, what made them decide to go that direction when they were putting music together, because you know, some of these bands that play the same type of stuff we hear every week, it's pretty easy to figure out why they went that way. But when you've got something that's so off the beaten path, I'd love to know the thought process. Is like, we want to really create that small niche and find that and really do it well.
It's kind of weird, and I think you see that every now and then with people who are members of established acts that do different music, almost like they by chance get together and start talking about some other genre of music that they all have a mutual admiration for, and they're like, hey, let's create that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not what we normally do, but let's go off and kind of have this, you know, tangent kind of thing that we have going on, and you know, just based on the sound, what they clearly love the influences that go into it. It's a great album.
It is, and again, I love when it's something completely different. And I'm really excited for our power trio coming up at the end of the show. Chris drops his picks into the chat, and without knowing what the question is, it's kind of interesting seeing his choices, and we'll keep that a secret from our listeners. We'll get to that at the very end. But
we should change the topic
and just have the answers.
So your power trio for the greatest 3 songs of all time. Here are Chris's picks.
Oh, that would be evil. But you know, we'll let you know what that question is coming up in our final segment of the show. We're back from ads, so it's time to get to my 2 picks. We're going to start off in Greece with an epic heavy metal band formed in 2020. This is Steel Arctus with their new album, Dream Ruler. You know, I've talked about it many times on the podcast before. When it comes to epic heavy metal, there is a line that if you go too far over that line, I just can't take you seriously. I feel like these guys have found that right spot on the right side of the line without going too far over the top. These guys, it's their 3rd full-length album. The band is made up of Tassos Lazarus on vocals and backing vocals, Nash G on all rhythm and solo guitars, acoustic guitars, and keys, Strutter on bass and keys, and Minas Chatsiminas on drums. From their Bandcamp page, passing along this note, Steel Arctus, the unstoppable force of epic heavy metal, return with their most ambitious and atmospheric work to date, Dream Ruler. Following the thunderous success of Master of War, the band now ventures into a realm where reality and illusion collide, delivering a 10-track odyssey through dreams, nightmares, and the shadows in between. If you like epic heavy metal, you're going to really dig this album. It's really good. It has that feeling of epic metal, and the vocals are great. I think that's really, you know, what sets some of these bands apart. But, you know, if you like power metal, I think you're going to dig this too. That's kind of what where Angry Metal Guy came down for his review. Said Steel Arctus have leveled up tremendously on Dream Ruler, and anyone with even a smidgen of appreciation for power metal should give this a spin. This is music of gigantic melancholy and gigantic mirth, and easily one of, if not the year's best power metal album.
Wow.
So high praise from Angry Metal Guy, who doesn't always throw a lot of high praise out there, but definitely worth checking out. Standout tracks include Cry for Revenge, Fate of the Beast, Wicked Lies, and the track we're going to listen to, Defender of Steel. Let's check these guys out now. This is Steel Arctus with their new release, Dream Ruler. This is the 2nd track off of that album, Defender of Steel. Let's listen to a little bit of that now.
Creating my fate, to recall my past. Question of self-protection by the means of steel. Through the power of my word, I'm crossing the sight. Armor wire, defender of steel. Armor wire, defender of steel.
There's definitely some dragon fighting music if I've ever heard it, but overall, really enjoyed this album. Definitely worth checking out if you're into that epic power metal type music. Mike, your thoughts on Steel Arctus?
Yeah, I mean, the playlist track that I pulled, I really enjoyed, and that sounds great as well. I didn't get around to the whole thing, unfortunately, but I mean, between what I've heard and just the album art alone, I could see why anyone would at least give it consideration for power metal album of the year.
Yeah, that was like I said, I really enjoyed it. I don't want when I say I was shocked by that review, I don't want to downplay the album, but that is some high praise from Angry Metal Guy that you don't always see. But I was really good, enjoyed it. Definitely worth checking that out. Definitely check those guys out. Steel Arctus with their new release. I've got two albums as always. We are checking out a band from Australia. This is a hard rock band. It is Dellacoma with Searching for You in the Darkness. Always love checking in on Australia. They've always got some great rock bands down under. This is no exception. These guys were formed in mid-2014. This is their third studio album. They've been around. They have played more than 500 shows across the U.S., the U.K., Europe, and Australia. The band is named after the lead singer, Dellacoma Rio, who was formerly the frontman of Melbourne band Sunset Riot, but they disbanded in 2013. That's when he decided to form his own band. It was a little hard to find information on the band members. I found a fan club page. I believe this is correct information. The rest of the band is Rob Moody on guitars, Bailey Walker on drums, John Justice on piano, guitars, drums, and bass, and Caleb Reno Sanger on bass. These guys, all of them, if you look at their fan club page, have played with some big acts. So, I mean, there's a lot of experience in this band behind Dellacoma Rio. They've got an eclectic sound, to say the least. The track that was on the playlist, I kind of like, okay, there's some talent here, but it didn't really resonate with me. And then I listened to the whole album, and it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, maybe that didn't totally represent the full album, which happens from time to time. But you can see when you listen to the whole album why they've played with so many different types of bands on tour, because it feels like their sound can fit in with hard rock or mainstream rock or even classic rock bands. It's a very polished sound. You can tell these guys are veterans of the business, whether it's been together over the last 11 years or separately. This, to me, sounds like something that could be on mainstream radio, which is great. I'd love to hear more rock like this on the radio. Overall, it's a good rock album. It's definitely worth checking out. Standout tracks include Heroes, Paradigms, I Got You, and the song we're going to listen to on the podcast is More Than Survival. Check out Dellacoma and their new album, Searching for You in the Darkness. This is the opening track off that album, More Than Survival. Let's listen to a little bit of that now. But yeah, again, just obviously that song sounds a lot different than some of the tracks later in the album that are definitely like slower. Definitely a well-balanced sound from these guys. Clearly can go a lot of different directions, but their rock stuff I think is very, very solid. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I enjoyed the whole album overall, but that is Dellacoma. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, when I put the songs on the playlist, I don't really give them a very deep listen the first time. It's just about creating the playlist. So it always bums me out a little bit when I get to it, when I'm actually listening to it, and it's like one of the slower songs. My thought is, okay, this is good, but is this indicative of what the whole album is? And I'm glad I did listen to this in its entirety, because that playlist track is fine, but it isn't what I wanted my lasting memory of these guys to be, and the album itself is fantastic. So definitely glad I took the time to listen to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good rock album. Definitely worth checking out. Dellacoma, their new album, out on November the 28th. That takes care of our new music, and it's time to go into the vault, where Mike and I will each give you a classic album you should check out. Mike is working through 2 different vault gimmicks. Last week and next week, he will be continuing his trip around the world to faraway places, sometimes very obscure places, to figure out what is good rock and metal. Where are we headed next week on that?
Chile.
You're headed to Chile. I have a feeling that's going to be good. I have
Yeah.
a feeling you're going to find some good stuff there when we get down to South America next week. But in the every other week, which includes this week, Mike is going through the list of Sonic Temple performers and has already spotlighted several of them. We encourage you to go back and check them out every other week on the Vault. We've got another pick this week along those lines, a band I'm not familiar with, so I'm definitely interested in hearing more about these guys. So who are we listening to from Sonic Temple this week?
Yeah, this worked out pretty well. Each week I've been kind of going from one stage to the next, or one day to the next on the same stage, I guess is a better way to put it. On stage 5 right now, we've made it to day 4, Sunday. That's an interesting lineup that day, because you have bands like Ailstorm. You have, let me look it up because I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately. Sonic Temple.
Yeah, I remember it being an interesting.
It actually has some like power metal, like Dragon Force is on it, Death Clock. Why you just give me that little picture? That doesn't really help me a whole lot.
That's your eyesight.
That's fantastic. There we go. Apocalyptica, Devil Driver, Spirit World, Castle Rat. Yeah, I knew I had some options. You don't see a lot of power metal, like that. Your kind of your Dragon Force kind of bands, and even your Ailstorm kind of bands. You don't see a lot of those booked for Sonic Temple. So, kind of being familiar with the band I ultimately did end up picking, I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to both hit Sonic Temple and kind of review the metal I enjoy. So, with that being said, we are looking at an album. It was actually on the playlist from, I think, October of 2024. I remember thinking fondly of the playlist track back then, but I didn't pick the album as a normal pick. But we're going with the band Windrose and their 2024 album Troll Slayer.
Yeah, that's obviously I saw that when you picked it, and I was like, that's an interesting title for these guys. But yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear more about them.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, this stage has some what I think to be generally underserved subgenres in metal as far as Sonic Temple goes. You have your Dragon Force, which is speed and power. Ailstorm and Windrose both considered folk and power metal. So gotta love folk metal, so let's do it. This is the 6th full-length album from this Italian folk and power metal band. They've been around as Windrose since 2009, but go back as far as 2000 under the name Power Rose. The band consists of Claudio Falconcini on guitars, Federico Miranda on keyboards, Francesco Cavalieri on vocals, Cristiano Bertocci on bass, and Federico Gotti on drums. Metal Archives lists their themes as epic fantasy, dwarves, Tolkien, and Warhammer.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know how much they leaned into the whole dwarf theme until I got into this album. And you look at the cover art, it is like just a dwarf, like dual-wielding axes. So,
Yeah.
That's fair enough. The sound is definitely kind of that medieval, almost like bordering on like pirate metal sounds, which I can do either. I'm more of the medieval theme, less the pirate theme, but the sound still works. It all checks out. Like I mentioned, the album cover has the dwarf dual-wielding axes. And looking down the track list, you have songs like Dance of the Axes, To Be a Dwarf. That's fair enough. Legacy of the Forge. After watching a bit of their performance from Summer Breeze 2025, they definitely get into it. They got the whole fantasy outfits going on. They kind of have like dwarven features as far as like the beards and long hair. I think these guys could put on just a totally ridiculous set at Sonic Temple and would be one that I would definitely try to catch.
Nice.
As far as the album goes, standout tracks include Dance of the Axes, Rock and Stone, To Be a Dwarf, the title track Troll Slayer, and No More Sorrow. But yeah, if you like kind of your epic power metal with a little bit of medieval influence there, I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. It sounds like because when I saw the album art, I kind of had a feeling I knew what this was going to sound like.
It looks like the next expansion to World of Warcraft.
It does, but I feel like that's what they're going for.
Yeah,
here,
it's not a bad thing.
But yeah, interesting stuff. Definitely looking forward to checking that out. And again, next week we're headed to Chile to see where we go from there.
See if there are any dwarves down there.
Who knows? It's hard telling. So we'll check that out next week on the Vault. I've got my Vault pick as well this week, and as I've mentioned for weeks, we're going through the Frontiers bands letter by letter, spending 2 weeks on each letter to just kind of find out what's out there. This week and next, we only had 2 options for the letter U on Wikipedia for Frontiers bands, so as much as sometimes I try to stay away from the big name bands, I didn't really have a choice in this matter this time. So this week we are checking out the 23rd studio album by the classic band Uriah Heep. This is Outsider. I will admit, and I'll probably mention it again in this review, that Uriah Heep is one of those classic rock bands that I definitely don't know enough about. I learned a lot by listening to this album, and it kind of makes me want to check these guys out more. This was released by Frontiers in June of 2014. The band at the time was Mick Box on guitar and backing vocals, Phil Lanzon on keyboards and backing vocals, Bernie Shaw on lead vocals, Russell Gilbrook on drums and backing vocals, and Dave Rimmer on bass guitar and backing vocals. Mick Box formed the band. He was among the members who formed the band back in 1969, still with the band. The other members, Lanzon and Shaw, joined in 1986, Gilbrook in 2007, and Rimmer in 2013. Unfortunately, 3 of the original band members have passed away. Also, unfortunately, there are many band members that have followed the original members who have also passed away. So they've had a lot of members. Obviously, they've been around for a long time. Their music fits right in with a band like Yes from the 1970s. Even this album in particular from Frontiers in 2014 feels like it's something right out of the mid-70s. Definitely feels like a throwback. Again, they're a classic band I don't really know a lot about. I know the name. I know they're important. Obviously, I know they have a crap load of albums. But I don't feel like I've really given them a fair listen over the years, and this was a good kind of introduction into Uriah Heep, so I'm definitely curious to check out more of their stuff. Overall, the album was really good. If you're a fan of 70s era rock, you're going to dig this. It was really, really good. Standout tracks include Speed of Sound, 1 Minute the Law, and Rock the Foundation. Yeah, like I said, don't really know a lot about Uriah Heep other than I know this album now and what I've learned for this podcast, but they're kind of one of those bands that I probably need to know more about.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like I need to spend time with a lot of like those classic prog bands that I just never listened to. I mentioned it before, like my only experience with Uriah Heep was that they had an album called Demons and Wizards. So whenever I was searching the band Demons and Wizards, I'd always stumble into Uriah Heep stuff. So yeah, definitely a band I need to become familiar with.
So next week, only one other U band for Frontiers, and it is a band, American hard rock band founded in 1991. It's going to be Unruly Child. Definitely don't know much about them, and their Wikipedia page is pretty barren other than their albums. It's notable that Kelly Hansen was their lead vocalist for 4 years, from 1998 to 2002. So we're going to find out about Unruly Child next week, assuming I can find information about them. But that'll be coming up next week on The Vault. But it is time to get to our long-awaited question of the week. Of course, that is the Power Trio, your hard rock hat trick. And, we've tried to stay positive. We're going to kind of put the hard rock hat trick on a hiatus coming up after next week. So I figured, well, now is a good time to get to the other side of it. And we're going to be talking about rock and metal songs that need to go away. The top 3 or 3 of your rock and metal songs you don't ever need to hear again. They can go away. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad songs. They could just simply be way overplayed. They could be bad songs. Obviously, we're looking for songs that are generally popular, because if we had to pick the 3 worst songs that need to go away, we could go back through Mike's playlists from the last 2 years and find 3 songs far worse than anything we're going to talk about on this podcast. This is about popular stuff.
Yeah, I feel like with this topic, these are songs that if you're in the car with somebody and they're controlling the radio, they might keep it on, and you're like, why? What are you doing? How dare you? That's kind of how I look at this topic.
I agree. Did we get anything from Shane on this one?
We did. We got 2 picks from Shane. He struggled with a third one.
Fair enough.
The 2 that he picked, I mean, it's funny. Chris talks about having some hot takes. Shane's are pretty interesting, too.
Okay.
Number 1, his pick is Beastie Boys, Fight for Your Right to Party.
That definitely falls into the category of overplayed, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the issue with that one. Not a bad song. It's not one that I'm necessarily excited to hear on the radio at this
I
point.
think that's fair.
I think they have worse songs. I could do without hearing Intergalactic ever again.
Yeah, I think so.
And at the same time, a song like Sabotage, I think, is better than Fight for Your Right to Party.
I agree with that.
Just my opinion. Number 2, Pearl Jam's Jeremy.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. That definitely is one that will wear you down.
It'll wear you down. I feel like it's on that list of grunge era songs that people kind of pedestalized, I guess, where it's like, this is just better than everything. It's on its own plane. And, you know, it's not a bad song, but I think Pearl Jam has better songs.
Jeremy is the kid that their parents think you're gifted, but they're really just like not mentally all there, but they think, oh, they're just gifted. No.
Oh, they're special.
They're special, but not in that way. Yes, I think that is Jeremy to a T. But yeah. Good, interesting pick. So I wouldn't disagree with either one of those.
He struggled
honestly.
coming up with a third because I think it's not a topic you
think about all the time.
And when you do, it's difficult to get that third one without getting like 20 of them.
Yeah, which I ran down that road too.
Yeah.
Chris put his picks in the chat, but now you have a context for them, for those who are watching.
Yeah, it turns out these are not the greatest songs of all time.
They are not.
Even though the 3 that he picked could potentially be on somebody's list of greatest songs of all time.
Absolutely. What did Chris have for us?
So number 1, he had, which I would pick maybe a different song from this band, but he went with Bon Jovi's Wanted Dead or Alive.
You know, when I first saw him put it in the chat, I thought he was putting Dead or Alive, Spin Me Round like a record, and I was going to be offended. Like, that is a hot take. But no, there are probably a lot of songs by that band that would fall into that category. So if I could see that one potentially rubbing somebody the wrong way.
Yeah, a classic song. And really, if you go back and look at 1986's Slippery When Wet, an amazing album, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, overplayed, but Bon Jovi is classic.
Yep.
Number 2, we have AC/DC's Highway to Hell.
I can see that.
Hell.
AC/DC's definitely one of those bands that could end up on a bunch of people's lists, and not even maybe for the same songs.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder because I've never followed AC/DC all that closely. I know this was the last album to feature Bon Scott. I just wonder like how people view it compared to Back in Black. I mean, you got to give the band props for being able to change singers and still be just huge, even if all their songs sound the same.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but kudos to them for sure.
Yeah, impressive. Number 3, possibly another overplaying issue. We have Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train.
Ozzy probably is another one that I could have gone through and picked a few songs from him as well, and that would probably be one of the ones I would look at.
You know, Ozzy's kind of the inverse Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
Where, like, he's classic, but you can't think of his songs without thinking of who the guitarist is playing with him.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of the Malmsteen issue.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But, yeah, if I was going to pick an Ozzy song, this one possibly could be it.
Yeah, I could see that. But solid picks from Chris. What did you have for us in this category?
So I went more with songs I just don't like or acts I just don't like.
Yeah.
To me,
Let's see if we have any overlap here.
You know, if something's overplayed, that means I like it. I just hear it too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to penalize a band for that.
Sure.
Number 1, we are going from their 2008 album Scars and Souvenirs. We are going Theory of a Dead Man and Bad Girlfriend.
I was going to put that on my list, but I knew you would, so I left it off.
So awful.
And it's bad because I will always equate that with our trip to Texas.
Yeah.
Because we have the video of that song. And but yeah, 100%. Bad song, but it was huge for them, obviously.
Yeah, and you know, I've never listened to a full album of theirs, so I'm probably being just unnecessarily harsh. that song just, man, I don't know.
It would. That's one of those ones that if we were doing the podcast, then and you would have picked a different song off of that album for our podcast, if you would view them differently.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe that could be another thing somewhere down the road, is a vault thing where you take a band like this and listen to the rest of that album and see if you change your thinking about that.
That would be interesting. I just feel like in the 2000s, maybe there was just the songs that were chosen to be the hits and the singles were just poorly selected in a lot of cases.
I would agree with that.
Number 2 from their 2001 album Come Clean, we have Puddle of Mud and She Hates Me.
I saw that on a few lists as well. I had a feeling that would come up.
I don't even know if I have to say anything else.
Yeah, it's just I don't even dislike Puddle of Mud, but that song was just lazy.
Yeah, I just
not good. And especially when both of those songs really are hurt by having a radio at it. Like, that makes them even worse.
Yeah.
It's like having all the censoring and stuff. So
yet the Papa Roach radio edit was classic.
It was, for whatever reason.
Of Last Resort, classic song. Number 3 is a group that they had a certain amount of popularity in like the late 90s and early 2000s. I don't really know why. From their 2001 album Comfort Eagle, we have Cake with Short Skirt, Long Jacket.
Yeah, Cake's another band that probably should have several songs, but that is clearly their biggest one.
I just, they had a sound and people liked it and they ran with it. I just don't get it. I never did.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Before we get to your honorable mention, actually, we might do that during the ad break, because we do have to run one more ad break on Twitch. I thought
you could do your picks before my honorable mention,
okay,
so I don't potentially steal any of your picks.
That's fair. But let's step aside for a 90-second ad break, and we can talk about Mike's picks, and then we'll get to my picks on the other side of the break. If you were on YouTube, you'll continue to hear us talk through the ad break. I thought I had to use an extra snooze because of our technical difficulties earlier, so I ran out of them. So we're going to have to run this ad, and then we'll finish up the podcast. But, yeah, all the picks so far have certainly been good. I have listed 6 over here, and a couple of them are probably would not fall into what I would consider to be rock songs. But it's like,
rock is such a wide umbrella.
It is. And I think the artists might be rock artists, but these songs aren't necessarily rock, what I would consider to be rock songs. But I put them on the list because I don't ever want to hear them again. So it's like you're just going to get ejected. So I will go with the ones I consider to be rock first, and then we'll come back and cover those.
We should make a playlist of all these songs.
We'll make a playlist of this and just, it's so bad. Spotify playlist of the Hard Rock Empire's worst music of the year.
I think, though, there are 2 different categories we could have gone with, because the answers kind of vary based on it. When I see like Chris's answers and Shane's answers, it's almost like a song, like songs you don't want to hear anymore from bands you actually respect or enjoy. I feel like it's a little different than the direction I went with my answers, where these were just songs I don't like.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it just depends on, because I think you mentioned a song being overplayed, you don't want to penalize the band. I think there are a lot of songs where that's true. I do think there is a category of songs that can be overplayed to the point where you no longer like them, where they are so in your face, like, I can't hear this song anymore. And I think I think they would fall maybe more into this category. Welcome back, Twitch. We're here wrapping up the Power Trio, the worst songs. We're blasting these off the face of the earth, never to be heard again. I put 6 on my list. I have some that probably would not consider rock songs. The first one technically would be. It is a band that I like. I don't ever need to hear this song again. It is the Steve Miller Band with Abracadabra.
Okay.
Like, that song's not any good, and it's a stupid name.
I mean, it is. As far as Steve Miller goes, I feel like I would go with the Joker.
Yeah, that's a good choice too, because I don't really care for that one either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of Abracadabra. It's a dumb name. Like,
Keep on Rockin's a great song.
It is, and Jet Airliner's fine.
Yeah.
Like, he's got good stuff. It's just that ain't it. Number 2, I have The Clash with Rock the Casbah. Like,
Rock the Dragon.
I'm not a huge punk guy. Like, there are certain punk bands I like. This song was both, I didn't really care for it, and it was overplayed on MTV in the early days. It was on a lot because their video was shot in a desert. Just not a huge fan of that one. Don't need to hear that one again.
Yeah, it's hard for me to view them as punk because I feel like they lacked a certain edge, especially with a song like that.
Yeah. Number 3, as far as rock songs, something a little more modern, Crazy Town with Butterfly. I knew there would be no disagreement from you on that one.
Out of respect to Shifty, and now that he's no longer with us, I didn't want to select it, but yeah, no, that song was just really bad. And I've been assured by Chris that the rest of the album's good. Like, it's just that song.
Yeah, we'll never know because that is not one I'm going to go back and check out.
I might pick it up on vinyl someday.
Yeah, maybe. So those are my 3. I'll come back to the other 3, but I know you have honorable mentions, so let's get to that first.
So my one honorable mention, another mid-late 90s thing that I just absolutely hated, and we've mentioned it on the podcast before, and that is from their 1997 self-titled debut album, Marcy Playground, with the song Sex and Candy.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those ones like I heard it a ton in Athens at ACRN when I was working there. Like, and it doesn't make me love the song anymore, but you get that tinge of nostalgia when I hear it come on the radio within the 5 seconds before I turn the song off and flip on something else. Yeah, I'm totally with you there.
Yeah.
3 others that are again borderline rock. The Beatles, I would put a lot of Beatles stuff on there because I'm not a huge fan of theirs, but Obla Dee Obla Da, that's on the top of the list. Again, it's a dumb song.
No, I agree. I feel like if I was told, hey, you're allowed to pick one Beatles song to wipe it off the face of the earth, it would have to be I'm the Walrus.
Yeah, that would definitely be up there as well.
Yeah.
This one might be controversial, but Don McLean's American Pie.
Yeah.
That to me is a song that I have overheard to the point where I don't ever need to hear it again. That's where that falls into that category.
Yeah, that's one of those songs that the first time you hear it, it's like profound.
Yes.
It's on a different level than other songs. And then about the 12th or 13th time, you're just like, man, this is just kind of long, and like, I get it, man. Like, quit whining.
Yeah, don't need to hear it again. The last one, just because I was looking up lists and it was on there, I'm like, yeah, I hate that song, is Imagine by John Lennon. Don't ever need to hear. I probably don't need to hear anything by John Lennon.
None of his solo stuff.
But that's the one that everybody puts on the list as like this amazing, profound song, like kind of like American Pie. And unlike American Pie, I've never liked this song, so it's not even an overplay thing. Just get it off the earth.
It just reminds me of, I want to say it was, what was that movie that Steve Carell was in? Dinner for Schmucks?
Yeah.
Was it? Where he quotes the song, but he does it wrong. He's just like, John Lennon said, like, you might call me a dreamer, but I'm not. Instead of like, I'm not the only one, which is the end of the line, he just stops it with, I'm not.
It might have been better, as it turns out. But
I can't without paraphrasing because I don't know the exact lyrics, but it was something like that.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But yeah, so again, maybe some controversial picks in there, maybe not. But you can join our Discord and tell us what songs you'd wipe off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
There are more, and as soon as you start sitting down and thinking about these, they just come flowing out. So we could probably do this again next week. Our final power trio before we put it on hiatus for a little while. We're going to put together our 3-band lineup for our New Year's Rockin' Eve in memory of good old Dick Clark, the absolute legend. We're gonna put together the perfect New Year's Eve concert for your television special. Guarantee you'll probably not see any of those artists on the actual New Year's Rockin' Eve, but we're going to put together a lineup you actually would want to see and stay up for on New Year's Eve. That is going to wrap things up for this edition of the Hard Rock Empire. Thanks so much for joining us a day late, but we are here with you once again, and we'll be back again this weekend with the 200th episode of the Nerdcast Empire, and of course our regular episode of the Hard Rock Empire on Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. The music of December the 5th will be coming up this week. Big thanks to Chris for joining us in the chat. Big thanks to Mike for all of his work on this podcast. Big thanks to Stoveleg Media for their continued support of the podcast. And a big thanks to you for listening whenever and wherever you are listening. We will be back again on sometime this weekend, but we'll be back again this Sunday night, for another episode of the Hard Rock Empire. And until then, everyone have a great Christmas out there. We will talk to you this coming weekend. And don't forget to join the Empire, the Nerdcast Empire.